Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Trademark Sports Podcast. Today, what we're going to do is talk about our thoughts on some stuff that happened in last week's games, go over our 3-2-1s for the week, and then also chat a bit of footy about the upcoming week. Dano, how are you feeling? Knights got up. You'd be happy with that?
Yeah, very happy. Obviously, very gutsy win. It was good to see him get the W. I think I was expecting him to win, and I think a lot of people were. I almost thought they weren't going to towards the end of the game, but they held on there. Gutsy win, lost some good players, and they did well. And yeah,
That's it. It's good week for the old Trademark Sports Podcast. Dragons and the Knights get the W, and also, of course, the Finns, because that's our third team,
that's our
basically.
team. Fins
Finns are
up.
up. Fuck, how long did it take us to get a Finns up in there? Jesus. So yeah, we might as well get straight into it and talk some stuff about footy. We're pretty much going chronological order. First game was Panthers versus Rabbitohs, and I think unfortunately we have to start the podcast off on a negative note. Obviously there's been that lateral incident with the fan. We say fan bloke in the crowd with that quite negative comment. And look, both of us agree that it's quite disgusting and shouldn't be in the game at all, and that he should. I personally think anyway should get a life ban. I think that's the best way to stamp it out. But also, there's the other side of it, the argument where what Nico Hines said, and it was like, instead of just banning him, he's obviously, because he's quite a young bloke, apparently in a Roosters jersey, that sort of thing, and obviously not very educated. And it's like sort of the level headedness of Nico Hines coming out and saying, like, how about let's like next year get him in Indigenous camp and give him some education and get him to realize just like what he did was so wrong, and we probably end up actually gaining more of an appreciation that way. But I think, yeah, Dano, we can both agree that it's just not on.
Yeah. I was just about to touch on what Nico Hines said and talk about how it was a young bloke who said it, and maybe stamp, just pure banning him maybe isn't the best case. Obviously no one's going to argue if it happens, but maybe it's not going to achieve the best outcome. But you've just taken everything I was going to say and said it, so good on you.
That's the thing, that maybe like for this young bloke, being first of the season, and then give him an education program and stuff. And look, if he does it again, obviously you're banning him for life. But if there's anyone that's an adult saying it, then there's no excuse. You're banned straight away. I think that maybe that's the way to go about it. But look, either way, we both agree that it's absolutely disgusting and not on.
Not on at all. No place for racism in the game, I'm afraid.
That's
I mean,
it. And I think it's happening in Penrith, which is probably the most multicultural place in Australia. Like, you think it's the last place it's going to happen?
yeah, you'd expect it to happen in Bondi. You go, okay, maybe Cronulla, maybe, but not.
Well, Cronulla's got a pretty good history of it, so
Yeah, but but not. Yeah, you wouldn't think out in the riff, but
yeah,
people are going to be ignorant to wherever you are. It's just it is what it is. And Latrell cops a lot of hate. Obviously, yeah, I just reads personality as well, just for sort of being outspoken, being himself, and being weird. So people just like to find anything that they can to put him down for and put shit on him. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, the easiest way to put someone down is by their race or whatever, and it's just
stuff
not
they
fair.
can't control.
Hmm.
Anyway, so we'll move on to something a little bit more lighthearted, unless you're an Eels fan. So Sharks versus Eels. Eels got off to a ripper start, and I thought they were going to run away with it. And then Sharkies, they clawed back. Will Kennedy with a hat trick, probably the game of his career. But yeah, the Eels go 0-2, and we spoke about it last week. It's sort of, if they went 0-2 and they played well and stuff, you wouldn't think it's that bad. But I think they really should have won that game.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the whole game. I was at training myself. I come home and saw the last 15 minutes of it. Yeah, the last 15 minutes were entertaining. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
That was real good. I saw Parramatta score that late try to put him. What was it? 26. What was it? 26-30? Was that the final
Yeah,
score?
yeah.
Yeah. I saw him into that, and I thought, oh, freaking hell, we could be looking at golden point here, but it wasn't to be. From what I saw, in the last 15 minutes, Sharks played well. Parra played well too. It was just, two pretty quality sides having a good matchup.
Yeah, it's just funny that like they go into this week and the Eels have the have Manly, who looked pretty good in that first round. So it's like the kind of thing, they could be 0-3 and like having played good footy. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think 0-3 sounds bad, and it's easy to start panicking, but I don't think there's any real need to panic.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing like it probably balance out over the course of the year. They do have a pretty they get a bit stitched up with the draw, but we can talk about that in later episodes. But one thing I did want to touch on that's a positive for the Eels. My God, Jermaine Hopgood is probably the best buy, the best find, like budget buy as well. He is so good. He made 44 tackles, so he's made 101 tackles in 2 weeks. And I just the thing that I made a video about it on TikTok as well. The thing I loved is just the effort right at the end of the game to make that cover tackle, to force the error from Sione Katoa and be the first bloke to the scrum. He just sprinted away, like the effort and I don't know, just the pretty much the leadership he's showing through his actions there is unbelievable. And I think it's the kind of thing you look at that and just go, he is built for Origin. And would have been doing this for the last couple of years if Isaiah Yeo wasn't there at Penrith. Amazing pickup for the Eels.
Yeah, Jermaine Hopgood is fast becoming one of my favourite players, which I hate to say because he's a Queenslander. But I think, I 2 games is enough for me, and I'm agreeing with you. I think he will make his Origin debut this year. I think they will find space for him. Yeah, I think Queensland love blokes like that, and they seem to have a lot of them somehow. I wish New South Wales had more blokes like that. So just effort on effort, and there's no real. There's nothing really special about him. He doesn't have any crazy skills or anything like that. He's just effort on effort on effort. Doesn't miss any tackles, makes his hit ups, does what he does, gets on with it, and he just effort on effort. I fucking love that. And I reckon he deserves an Origin spot.
Yeah, 100%. And he keeps his form up. I think it's one of those things you have to pick him. Then you'll have Ruben Cotter, Jay Hopgood, and Paddy Carrigan, and they'll sort of all of that mold. They'll just work their asses off.
Scary thought. I hate it.
At least we've got Gerbo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've got Gerbo and Yo. Yo's pretty good like that.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I was just I'm running out of good things to say about Jermaine Hopgood. I already love him so much. But it's frustrating when you're a Dragons fan, I suppose, as well as a Knights fan. He was available on the market. Surely you would have made a play at him, but look, it is what it is. I'm glad to see him doing well.
It's the better clubs who are able to take average players and turn them into superstars.
Yeah.
How many players has Craig Bellamy at the Melbourne Storm done that for?
A fair few.
Yeah. Who's to say that if Hopgood went to a club that's not quite as good as Parramatta, like Newcastle or St George, that he would be playing the game he's playing now? You know what I mean?
Adam O'Brien is great at development.
Josh King, for example. King, who was with the Knights, he was playing off the bench. I don't think he started for Newcastle once. A lot of times he wasn't even in first grade. He goes to Melbourne, and I think he started, 2 years straight now. He's really locked down. He's just signed for another 2 years.
I was going to say, because this year he's played really, really good footy.
Yeah, 100%. So it just goes to show you sometimes, better clubs can turn average players into better players.
That's it. I think we'll move on to the second Friday night game, which was another belter. The first 3 games start this round, ridiculous footy. Broncos versus Cowboys. So I went the Cowboys, and look, in hindsight, I definitely should have gone the Broncos. They look red hot, really, really good. But Reece Walsh, his club debut, was lights out.
Didn't he look good?
Oh God, it's that team. He's just added so much to them already. Their attack looks just red hot.
Just crisp, real crisp. Just he adds a lot of flair and just excitement to the back line. He's a player you really enjoy to watch. I think he's done a lot over the season. That's
just Broncos. They're probably going to be one of my favorite teams to watch this season. I reckon. They look like a fun footy side. They're real tough up front, but God, they got some blokes out the back that can just do had something from nothing. Ezra Mam and Reece Walsh. Once when they're firing together, it's ridiculous how good they are.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, but something unfortunate coming out of that game is that Corey Oates broke his jaw from that hit from Drinkwater. Did you get to see that? Because that was a pretty nasty hit.
Oh, I didn't really actually get to see it. I heard that it was pretty bad.
So yeah, Drinkwater's coming over in cover, and look, I get it. You do anything to stop a try. He gave away a penalty, but I feel so bad for Corey Oates. He's so hard to get back into the team. Played really good last year. And he's round 2 this year, he's broken his jaw. And Jesse Arthurs has looked good in the time he's got. So it's hope he's going to be able to get back in the team.
Yeah, it's just obviously it's one of those unfortunate accidents. That's what happens when you play rugby league. People, sometimes you break bones. It just, it's The price you pay for wanting to play rugby league. That's the sport we play.
That's it. We'll get into the suspensions a little bit later, but I just want to bring up a point about the length of Drinkwater suspension. But look, we'll get that later. So if you keen to hear about that, make sure you keep listening. But so we'll go on to the Saturday's games. Roosters versus Warriors. God, like we went from 3 really good games of footy. This game was so shit. My God, errors left, right, center. The Roosters look sloppy as anything, and like, look, they're known as to be like slow starters, but they just look really poor.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I was playing, but I watched the highlights and yeah, I gotta agree with you there. Did not look very good at all.
And it's like I suppose like they got a few players out and stuff, but every club has that. And like what like yeah, again, we just spoke about in rugby league, you expect to get injured. You can't be like using that as an excuse. They're the kind of team that like like we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. I think they're the most under pressure team in the comp. Like this year, like they're expected to win.
Yeah.
It's like they'd look, I don't know. It just for blokes who've been playing like together for a few years, they look like they don't even know each other.
Yeah. What do you think that comes down to? Do you think it comes down to preseason? Maybe they didn't have as good a preseason as they should have.
Either that or like they just get worked so hard during preseason, they're just flat. They just got no energy. I don't know. I really don't know what it is. Like that's kind of I can't put I literally can't put a finger on it. I absolutely clueless as to why they're looking so poor. But look, it's the Roosters. It's bloody Trent Robertson and everything. Like they've got really good. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure once Angus Crichton comes back as well, it'll add another dimension to the game, a level to the game. Obviously, an international. Very good. Yeah, so hopefully the sooner he's back, the better they can go. And yeah, I'm sure they'll figure it out and hit their stride. Obviously, they're going to do well this season. They will do well, and I
They're
think
still
they
going
will
to make
be
the finals, no question about it.
It's just how long it takes them to hit their stride and really find that good patch of form that they need to.
Yeah, I'll say like, the Warriors. Look, they tried their best. They're just very error-ridden footy, like silly penalties and stuff. Just the typical things that you see from the Warriors, unfortunately. And it just, I think, it comes down to a bit of discipline. Playing better under fatigue, stuff like that. It's just smarter decisions. But like Tohu Harris has been absolutely killing it. He had another really good game. I think he's equal second in the Dally M's. Like that's how well he's been playing to start the season. So like there's glimmers of hope for the Warriors, and I think like again it's sort of the same thing. Like the travel aspect is so heavy for them. I think like, if they win most of their games in New Zealand, I think they'll be pretty close to that, like the bottom of the top 8. But going from speaking from some teams that are underperforming, the Finns, bro, they are overperforming to the max. They're in second spot. They've won 2 from 2, and they just found a way to get it done on the weekend.
100%. Yeah, that was such a good game to watch. I sort of, I didn't see the start of it. I watched, I probably missed the first 10 minutes of it or whatever, but fuck, it was a really entertaining game to watch. Yeah, the Dolphins, they've got something in them. They've got that,
they've got some mongrel. They've got some guts about them.
Yeah, they've got a lot of they got a lot of this thing right here, a lot of heart. Yeah, they're a really fun team to watch and a really fun team to support.
Yeah, it's like you have to get around them. Like it's unreal. But I think the thing that I've sort of like watching that game, it was like, okay, the Raiders have some players that have like been around for a little while and know what it takes to win a game. Like you got Jack White and Jamal Fogarty in the halves. I was like, look, I think they'll probably end up running over top of them because the Dolphins, they are like, even though they're all playing for each other, they're a new team. You don't know who's going to step up in the clutch times and stuff. But the Hammer and Sean O'Sullivan really took the game by the scruff of the neck, and they've paid dividends.
Yeah, 100%. And I think even when Sean O'Sullivan got Simbin, was it for the final 10? I think he was off for pretty much. And then Katoa
stood up. It's like this is an 18-year-old kid just in his second game of NRL first grade.
Is he the youngest bloke in the NRL at the moment?
I think so. He'd be up there.
Yeah,
like that's what I mean. Like, and he's playing in the halves, and he's just like, yeah, don't worry, I'll go out and win a game of like footy for us.
I'll take this brand new NRL venture, out against experienced first graders with my other half in the sim bin. I'll just take control and play footy. It's just
like, no wonder Anthony Milford isn't getting picked. Like when you've got that running around.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you go from like the youngest player in the league to one of the oldest. Mark Nichols is coming out off the bench and making 180 plus meters. Like he's just got a new lease of life up there.
Yeah, no, I'm sure joining up there under Wayne Bennett. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, well, there's a reason Bennett signed him, and I think
yeah.
and there's a reason the blokes who Bennett picked have gone there because they know that Wayne Bennett can get the best out of them, and Wayne Bennett knows that he can get the best out of them. So it's
Mm,
sort of yeah.
that's it. Then we move on to another team that had a lot of hype and expectation over the offseason. Looked terrible in round one, but they looked pretty good well, over the weekend. Against a Storm team that obviously had a lot of injuries and players out and people underperforming and stuff. But the
Still a
Doggies
Storm,
just, yeah, like they were up, what, 26-0 at one stage?
yeah.
Like crazy, crazy stuff. I was really impressed by the Dogs in the weekend. I didn't get to watch much of the game. I was at friend's 21st, so I was a little bit preoccupied. But yeah, like from what I saw, I watched the highlights and stuff, and they looked really sharp.
Yeah, they did. And I think that argument that the Storm were depleted or under strength or whatever, that argument has never applied to the Melbourne Storm before. Melbourne
They've still got that next up mentality
Melbourne,
though. Like they're still like their reserves are still so good.
yeah, they've always had that next up mentality. So I don't think you can say that the Bulldogs only won because it was a depleted Storm side. The Bulldogs look really good. They finally not finally, they only had one bad game, but it looks like the team that everyone expected them to be this season with the and the new signings.
But what I find like interesting but a good sign if you're a Doggies fan is that left side was meant to be the one that was like the thrill and excitement. Like you got Burton, kick out, Paul Alamotti coming through. Like that was meant to be the really good side, but it was the right side that impressed me over the weekend. Yeah, Addo Carr's that winger. So it's like that left edge is stacked, but the right side, Flanagan, Avarillo, Kiraz, they were the ones that were like really turning up on the weekend. And Jacob Preston, the lock, like he's like in his second game of NRL was really, really good. That's what is like really exciting if you're a Dogs fan. Matt Burton didn't play that well, and you still managed to torch the Storm.
Kiraz is a gun, man. I remember.
Yeah.
Did he make his debut last year or was he before?
Yes. I believe. Oh,
I think it was
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, I remember watching his first game, like his debut. And I just said, holy shit, who is this bloke?
Yeah.
In the lower grades or whatever. And as soon as he played NRL, it's one of those blokes you're watching his first game, you see his confidence, you see his strength.
He knows a good bit about him.
You go, this bloke is going to be a first grader for a while. This guy's
like I'll be watching him for the next 10 years.
Yeah. There's just sometimes you can just see that with blokes. You just look at them and you go, yeah, this guy is going to play 100 games. Like,
yeah. We'll go on to Sunday's games now. Obviously, the best games of the round. Like that's the thing that sucked about this round. Like Thursdays and Fridays games were so good, and then you rock up like Sunday, Tigers Knights and Dragons Titans. You go, yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, like some of the news coming out of that game was like obviously you've watched it in the like first or second minute. Second tackling battle game. Poor old Kalen Ponga got concussed again. Really unfortunate. It's his fourth in 10 months, which is actually quite concerning. I was listening to a thing that NRL physio posted a couple of hours ago, and it was something along the lines of, so he's had 6 concussions over his career, and now like that sounds like a lot, especially because 4 of them have been so recent. But Tedesco's had 7, so there's no reason why Kalen Ponga like won't still be able to have a fruitful career and stuff. It's just a bit concerning how frequent they're becoming. And the thing is, like with concussions as well, the more you have, the easier it is to get concussed. Like the less the impact. Like it's a thing. Like it was a head clash on the weekend, and you see that plenty of times over the weekend of footy, and maybe 1 or 2 concussions. So that's like a little bit concerning. What do you make of that? Like especially as a Knights fan, like how do you feel?
It was very upsetting to see. Obviously, worried about his welfare, and also once you realised he was all right, then you think, shit, how are the Knights going to go here? We've just lost, our best player. Obviously concerned for him. You worry as a fan for his long-term welfare. You say, is it better to give him, 3 or 4 weeks off just as a precautionary measure? Maybe even more. I remember, was it Luke Keary? They gave like 6 weeks off 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Roosters did. Is it better to do something like that for Kalen, or is that a drastic measure?
Yeah.
It's hard though. It's a real hard one. I guess only the experts know, and Kalen knows, and but obviously very, very hard to watch and just not good to see at all.
Well, the thing is, like, he will 100% not be playing this round because you got like it's a 5-day turnaround. And I think you need a minimum of 6 or 7 days to even be able to be eligible again. So he'll be out next year and hopefully be back around 4 if his symptoms and everything are gone. That's the thing. It's like so individual and case by case. But I think like the Knights, though, you have a look. They lost him and Jaden Brayley pretty early. Tyson
They're
Frizzell
two
was off
best
there.
players, pretty much.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
essential parts of their team. Like they played 60 minutes with Phoenix Cross and a hooker and still managed to get away with a win. Like you have to be happy with that as a Knights fan.
Oh, definitely. The boys really stepped up, and it's like they interviewed Jacko after the game, and he spoke really well about what a gutsy performance it was.
Mm.
And that was one thing that did. I know it was only against the Tigers, against a club that was decent at all. We would have got thumped, but it was good to see the boys come together and just stand by each other, and really it felt like they cared about the jersey.
Yeah.
They cared about each other, and they cared about getting the win, and they just stuck strong, and they did it without their two best players, which was really pleasing to watch as a Newcastle fan.
So, and as much as it was a good game for Newcastle, thank God you'd be so disappointed if you're a Tigers fan. There's no reason why they shouldn't have won that game. They looked just so off the pace again. It's like for what we all heard about like this new brand of attacking footy, and it's going to be so fun to watch the Tigers. Even if they don't win, they're going to be close in the game and stuff. Like what they've scored 12 points in both games. Like, they've looked pretty poor, and man, I don't know what the problem is. I think like look, the fish things from the head, the board and everything still suck. So it's like the coaches and everything are under pressure and unhappy, and it's going to filter to the playing group. Oh god, that club's like reeks.
I spent a bit of the weekend. I was just looking through some Fox League stuff and looking at a lot of comments on different posts around the Newcastle Tigers game. So many comments from Knights fans and Tigers fans alike, just going, the Tigers are hopeless. The Tigers are shit. Half the comments just go, kick them out of the comp, bring the Bears back, kick them out of the comp. Man, let's get two new teams. And they offer to the comp. They suck. Tim Sheen, I think he's past his use by date. I really don't think he can NRL coach anymore. I know it's only games, but just.
But that's the thing. Like even in the like Super League, his teams weren't doing fantastic. Whether the games moved past him or what. Like apparently there's like rifts and stuff between Benji and Tim Sheens. That's not good to see. Like especially so early in their like tenure. And I did see a funny comment, but it was like, make him just the Western Tigers, send him to Perth. They've already got the West at the start of like in their first name. Just put the ERN instead of an S and just send them over there.
That's not fair on people from Perth. Then what, they've got to support the Tigers?
Yeah.
Not that. And I have to get all their window liquor fans follow them over from Western Sydney. Can't do that. Can I say window liquor?
Whatever. If you get cancelled, you get cancelled. Yeah, next week the podcast will be just solo. I was going to say, though, like we'll just touch on spoke about Jackson Hastings' interview. Oh, the aftermath of that, just got to go apologise to a bloke for breaking his nose and the spray he got. God.
Oh, that I was not happy about that because I watched Jack in an interview and I was sitting there watching it and I was just thinking, fuck, he's spoken well. He spoke really well, you know. Anything, he wasn't arrogant, rubbing into the Tigers or anything. He was just had an attitude, you know, oh, that's footy. I'm still Major League's boys. Sorry, Tommy, complete accent. I'll go apologise. He goes over and obviously Talau's upset, but mate, it's footy. It was not intentional. And it wasn't like it was reckless and dangerous. He's going for a tackle and accidentally hit him in the face. Like, what a fucking sook.
And then it's a huge overreaction.
Yeah, David Clement will walk over there and try and be a big tough guy, man.
Even though he did shit all on the field, like.
Yeah, do something on the field. Don't stand there and try and be hard after the game. Like, it's just really shit me because I think it's against the spirit of the game. The spirit of the game is what happens on the field stays on the field. And then from the carry like that after the game, it makes me very upset, and it just makes me, just be off the Tigers that much more.
I think like the thing though that look, I don't think there's an excuse for it. Like it wasn't like Jacko came out like he seemed quite respectful in the situation. And obviously, we don't know what was said between them, but I think from Tommy Talau's perspective, I think he'd be very frustrated. He had a lot of injuries and stuff, and he's finally had a crack at like he's played a couple of games of first grade again. He's like wants to get some consistent footy, and that's why I have to miss some weeks because he has a broken nose. And I get to be frustrated, but you don't take that out on Jacko. Like, it could happen in any tackle, could happen from a head clash, could happen in any way, shape, or form. Like, yes, it's frustrating, but
that's footy. That's the game we play. Yeah.
Like it's I do feel sorry for Talau. He has to miss some footy, but look, you can't change it.
Yeah, exactly. And it just the thing. And Jacko goes over to apologize. Like Jacko didn't have to apologize. It was an accident.
Yeah.
You know, everyone saw it was an accident. He did not owe Talao an apology. It wasn't, he didn't come in with malice or anything. Complete accident. Just said, I'll go over and apologize. And he's copped that. It really made me upset. And I don't think that's what the game's about. And I'm really off it.
I think if you look on the contrary of, because Jacko's getting roasted online by some people say, oh yeah, fuck, like, see, you knew he was a shit bloke and this and that. But it's like, okay, last year, Jackson Hastings' season was ended due to a broken leg.
Yep.
And look, it was like Paddy Carrigan who did it. From what I remember, I don't think he ever said anything about Paddy Carrigan in general. It was more, he was like, you get the hit drop out of the game rather than saying, like, Paddy Carrigan's a dog, this and that. Like, obviously, he probably would have been annoyed that it happened and a bit pissed off that Paddy Carrigan said it, but he didn't go up and abuse him or anything. Like, because Paddy Carrigan apologized to him and to him, and he was like, yeah, I suppose that's footy. Like,
well, yeah. And I remember speaking to Jacko after it happened, and he said that he was angry. He was real angry for, you know, the next few days after it, and he was thinking, "Fuck, he's hip dropped me," but he said just after a while, he sort of said, and he went, "Oh, you know, at the end of the day, that's footy. He didn't mean to do it. It was an accident." And he said, Carrigan sent him a message and apologized, and he just said, "Yeah, all good, brah. Accident. You know, accidents happen."
Yeah, and I think it's just a bit of maturity and having that sort of level head about it. Like, obviously, it sucks. No one wants to get hurt. Everyone wants to play footy as much as they can, but it is what it is, I suppose.
That's footy. It's a game we play.
We'll move on to the last game in the round. Go the Dragons. God, we looked actually red hot. At the start of the game, we didn't. And towards the end of the game, like that Tino try, I wasn't very happy with that at all. But far out, the middle part of the game, man, we're on song. Jacob Little, where does that come from? Maybe like, and Zane Musgrave too, maybe the change of scenery, getting out of the shit old Tigers, was really good for him. Like, they looked really good. Ben Masilla had a good game. Toby Cashman, before he got fucking knocked out, was really good. Ben Hunt was like good again. Tyrell Sloan, so happy for him. So happy for him. He like really he shot at the haters and said, "Look, I can play a game of footy. I just hope next week against the Broncos, if he has a bad game, that people don't go straight back onto the way it was." But I don't know if you see much of the Dragons game, mate, but like, I'm stoked.
I watched it. At the start, I started watching it and saw the Titans that score those 2 early tries or whatever, and I went, "Yep, here we go. Exactly what I thought was going to happen." Switched off. I was just on my phone, just looking at that. Next thing, Dragons scored a try, then another one, and another one. I went, "Holy shit, what's happened here?" And I was, you know, the Dragons did. They looked really good, and Blocker got a try, which was good to see.
Oh, that was awesome.
Second try in 100 and something odd first grade game, so that was nice to see.
I think we did get helped by Tim Verrills having to go off because I failed HIA and stuff, but like since that happened, Jacob Little just carved up around the ruck. So like we actually think like that was the thing, we dominated the game. Like, I mean, the first 15 minutes of the second half, the Titans had one set, so it's like you can't win a game of footy like that. But credit to the Dragons, they took advantage of it. They scored back-to-back tries and like capitalized where usually they wouldn't. But yeah, they looked a lot better than I expected for sure.
Yeah, I don't know where it's come from. Maybe I was wrong about them getting the wooden spoon. I know it's only one game, but and Phil Gould's come out and said he's real confident the Dragons that they won't get the wooden spoon.
Yeah, because we're going to win the comp. Hey, you can't win the wooden spoon and win the comp.
The comp, wow. Big talk from early in the season.
Obviously talking shit. But I have bought my grand final tickets. Anyway, we'll move on to some suspensions.
For them up, they scored their first try on the weekend.
Yeah, pretty much. So again, like there was a few suspensions handed over the weekend. One for your boy Jay Saf copped 5 weeks for his basically attempted murder on Jacob Little.
No. Now, this might sound biased. I don't think that deserves 5 weeks.
Oh, I think look, it was a reactionary thing. It all happened very fast.
Accident.
But hey, it doesn't matter.
He was there, but no, Simpkin run into his shoulder. He was standing there. He didn't know Simpkin was coming in that quick. I don't think you should get any week suspension. I think a send-off was sufficient. Maybe a fine. Maybe
I will have to tell you while looking at it.
And I think no suspension.
You are looking at it through very biased red and blue coloured eyes. Yes, it was an accident. Yes, it happened quickly, but he still cleaned him up.
Yeah, but what's he supposed to do there?
Hit him below the shoulders, like the rules
but
today.
But he didn't even move. It happened so quick. If he got down, like bent down, he would have just made it even worse. Simpkin needs a dickhead Simpkin should get suspended for running into him.
I I feel so sorry for Simpkin because he got nailed. I can't remember who it was by, but he got nailed before that, like 5 minutes before that. Dropped 2 balls and then got
Leo
like,
Thompson.
yeah, that's it. He got cleaned up by Leo Thompson. Dropped the ball a couple of times and then got knocked
Leo
out.
Thompson, by the way,
Fuck.
had his best game in a Knights jersey.
Oh,
Leo Thompson was
100%.
fantastic.
He was good.
Uh, yeah, anyway, we all know it wasn't Safidi's fault. Simpkin should be the one to get suspended for knocking himself out. Poor Jacob Safidi. Jacob Safidi's the victim here. Let's all be honest. Jacob Safidi's the victim.
He's done it with a straight face. Yeah. We'll move on to
by the NRL, and it's not fair. Anyway, move on.
Move on to Scotty Drinkwater caught 3 weeks for his hit on Corey Oates. Now, what I know you can't sort of take into account like the injury, otherwise Jordan McLean would be suspended forever because Alex McKinney could never play again. But Corey Oates is missing 6 to 8 weeks for a broken jaw. Look, do you think it would be fair for Scott Drinkwater to then miss 6 weeks as sort of like a repercussion of the injury that he caused?
No,
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying I agree with that, but like, it's an argument to be made. Like,
yeah, there's an argument to be made that the suspension time should be, just as long as the injury time. But I reckon that should only be applied to acts with malice in them, involving trying to hurt the opposition. I think with an accident, obviously you've done the wrong thing, but I don't think there's very rarely times where players injure other players badly and there's genuine malice involved.
Do we feel like there's probably an argument made that there was malice involved with Scott Drinkwater? I don't think he intended to break his jaw, but he's making a cover tackle, and everyone who watches rugby league now knows you can't do shoulder charges, and he's come over. He could have wrapped his arms, but he just went in with a shoulder charge to stop a try. Like, you don't do a shoulder charge if you're not trying to hurt someone.
Yeah, but every tackle you're trying to hurt someone, aren't you? But you're not trying to injure him. Every tackle you're thinking, I want to hurt this prick. I want him to feel it when he gets up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but you're never trying to actually think, I want to hurt this bloke to the point where he misses weeks of footy.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Yeah, fair point. Jerry Marshall-King misses 2 weeks as well, so that's good for your Knights. I think he's been really, really impressive to start the season. So, look, we'll have to wait and see how they go, because they don't really have a noted second choice hooker. They've got a few blokes that can play there. They've got Ray Stone, Ray Stone's injured. Whether he comes back or not, but they've got that Kurt Donahoe and Mason Teague can play there. So we have to wait and see what they do and how they play. But I actually think I'll miss him quite a fair bit.
I think they will too. I think he was obviously instrumental in their first game, and he was very good in their second game too. Yeah, big loss for the Dolphins, I think.
So what we'll do now, get into our Murray Ross medal. Now, if you're a new listener, what this is basically just our version of the Dally M. We each go through 4 games and give a 3-2-1. At the end of the season, we'll see who wins the most prestigious award of their career. So I'll get us underway. I was the voter for Panthers versus Rabbitohs. Now, Panthers, it was obviously a close game. Panthers got the win. I think their players definitely deserve that. And it's like, it's the main trio that I'm giving out the points to, because they just turn up week after week. Isaiah Yeo, 3 points. Nathan Cleary, 2 points. And Dylan Edwards, 1 point. What do you reckon about that? Do you reckon that's fair?
Oh, that's, even if I hadn't watched the game at all, I would agree with that. Like,
yeah, it's like they're just,
I would not be surprised at all. Yeah,
that's the thing. They just turn up every single week. I won't go on to the Eels versus Sharks game. Look, I had Will Kennedy for 3 points, finished off a hat trick, and just looked really good. Matt Moylan, 2 points. He was outstanding for the Sharkies as well. And I had to give Jermaine Hopgood a point as well. Like, he just continues to blow me away with how well he was. So now over to you, Dano. Broncos Cowboys.
Yes, Broncos Cowboys. No surprise. 3 points I've given Reece Walsh. Absolutely electric. Added a lot to the Broncos, so good for him. 2 points I've given Big Jason Tamalolo from the opposition side. I thought he was very good.
Great.
The Broncos were, the Cowboys were very good. It was a close game, so I thought he was deserving of a couple of points. Number one, Adam Reynolds. Adam Reynolds always rock solid. Very good. Thought he deserved the point.
I think nearly every time the Broncos win, Adam Reynolds is going to get at least 1 point. Like, he's so good to that team, and just, I don't know, it's something about him. He's just got that such a calm, collected, cool, mature head.
An aura.
Yeah, that's it. Going to Roosters versus Warriors. I didn't want to give anyone any points for this game, but unfortunately you have to. I gave 3 points to Tohu Harris, actually. Like, I just thought he was that good in the losing side. And he's a guy, he's actually underrated nowadays because he just, no one cares about the Warriors. But like, week after week, he's just putting in 100%. I gave 2 points to Suoli'i. I thought he was probably the Roosters' best. And then 1 point to Sammy Walker. He was quite impressive as well. Like, stood up when it mattered most. So they're my points for those games. Now, over to you for the Fins Up versus the Raiders.
Fins up, righto. 3 points, got to go to the hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. I don't think anyone liked you there. He was
Just quietly,
Yep.
the Hammer is winning the Dally M leaderboard after 2 rounds. Imagine saying that just like 2 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. No one would have believed it, would they?
No.
There you go. All right, 2 points I want to give to Sean O'Sullivan. He was obviously very strong for the Finns. Led him around, did very well. So he gets 2 points. 1 point, I was pretty split between either giving it to Katoa or Gilbert. I thought they were both really good, but I think I'll give it to Katoa just because he really stood up. I think he's deserving of a point.
100%. Can get around that now over to the next game?
That's the Broncos and Storms.
Broncos or Bulldogs?
Bulldogs, I mean. All right. So 3 points I'll give to Jacob Kiraz. Hurts me to give a winger 3 points, but as we spoke about before, he's a very good player, deserving of it. 2 points to Hayes Perham. I think he really found a home at the Bulldogs. Was a bit underutilized last year at Parramatta. Obviously, it's hard being behind blokes like Gutherson and Penasini and that, and Sevo. But, he found a home at the Bulldogs. That's good. 1 point go to Reed Money.
Yeah, fully deserved. Tigers versus Knights.
Tigers Knights. 3 points of giving to a bloke that had his first game in the Knights colours and really stood up when they needed him to. Tyson Gamble.
Yeah.
I hated him just when he was at the Broncos. When he was at the Broncos, you used to look at him and think, I wish someone had belt this bloke. I love seeing him in Knights colours. He was very good. He got in their heads, got in their faces, and really stood up when he had to. 2 points go to the big, lanky winger superstar, Dom Young.
He was great again.
He was very good. And 1 point goes to Leo Thompson, who I thought had his best game in a Newcastle jersey and was really deserving of a point.
He was impressive. I thought for 100% he played his best game of his career. Move on to the last game of the round, Dragons versus Titans. It feels disgusting giving a bloke coming off the bench 3 points, but I thought Jacob Little was really, really instrumental to our and even to say that Jacob Little was getting 3 points because I was like, why the hell have we signed him? But I thought it was fantastic giving him 3 points. Going to give Jack Burr 2 points when he came back on. Once Couchman went off with that HIA, he just the Dragons looked unreal. Just that playing that sort of ball playing middle, I thought it was really good. I only 1 point to Tyrell Sloan. Just because he just came back and sort of just told everyone to get stuffed with his performance. Let his performance do the talking, which was really good to see. Yeah. So we'll get on now. We'll just run over quickly some tips for this weekend. Again, record this on a Monday before team lists come out. So look, our opinions will probably change come 4:00 tomorrow. This week's games are Manly versus the Eels, kick us off. Then it's Knights versus the Fins up down at Newcastle. Roosters, Rabbitohs, Titans versus Storm, Cowboys versus Warriors, Broncos, Dragons, Dogs, Tigers, and Raiders versus the Sharkies. So, give us your tip for Manly versus Eels.
It's a tough one. I'm going to take Parramatta, though. It's going to be a good game, but I'm going to take... Where's it being played at?
Brookie.
I'm still going to take Parramatta.
Was it Silvertails versus the Firebros?
No, that was Western Suburbs.
Well, it was... Look, it's still a rivalry.
There, mate.
Huh?
You embarrassed yourself there.
I did a little bit. Oh, hey, that's the beauty of editing. I might cut that out. No, I'll leave it in. But yeah, I think both got the Eels there. Look, yes, they're 0-2, but they have looked pretty good in those two games. And I think, look, at Brookie on Friday night or Thursday night, it'll be tough, but I'll back them in. Newcastle versus the Dolphins. There's 10 players out from the top 30 for Newcastle already. Personally, I think they might struggle. But then again, like, as we just said, like Jerry Marshall King's out for the Dolphins. How much does that affect them? Unfortunately, I think the Dolphins might get it done in Newcastle. What do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, unfortunately.
Mm.
It used to be teams that come to Newcastle, they'd hate it, and it was a fortress. Newcastle never lost at Newcastle. But last couple of years, it's changed, and they've lost quite a lot at Newcastle. So I think, the Dolphins get the win,
Which would
unfortunately.
be crazy to think that the new team's going to get 3-0. Like, that'd
Fins
be.
up. I can't say fins up. They played against my team. I can't do it. Yeah.
um, Second Friday night game, Roosters versus Rabbitohs. Well, that's always a cracker of a game. Look, the Roosters look pretty poor. The Rabbitohs have looked good to start the season. Yes, they got done last week, but like that could have gone either way. But this is the kind of game that the Roosters could go like get really up for, especially the way that their season ended last year against the Rabbitohs and run over the top. How do you see this game going? It's at Allianz, but both of their home grounds.
Rabbits.
Rabbits, yeah,
I say that pretty confidently, actually.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Which means if we're both tipping these teams, we're probably both going to be wrong. It's just the way these things go. Titans versus Storm. Now, this is a game that's actually quite interesting. If the Titans can actually hold to ball, they probably could be within the shot. Because the Storm have so many players out, especially because Sofa Solomon will be out this week. Like they can't catch a break. The Storm. Xavier Coates probably will be back. But how do you reckon this is
Poor
happening?
Melbourne Storm can't catch a break with injuries. Probably a river. I don't give a shit. I hope everyone in their top 30 gets injured and they've got to play the Harold Match team out there.
Okay, everyone, but like Tyron can play.
Tyron can play.
And then
a bunch of
everyone else can get stuffed.
Yeah.
Um,
I still think Melbourne get the win over the Titans.
Yeah, I think they do, but I reckon it'll be pretty close, 1-12. I think. Geez, if we both tip the same teams, we could be in some trouble here. Cowboys versus Warriors. I think we're going to tip the same team here.
Yeah, Cows.
But look, if the Hammer was there, losing just Scott Drinkwater wouldn't be such a big loss. But like up in Townsville, time difference, that sort of thing. Like the travel from Auckland to Townsville, not exactly up the road. I think the Cowboys get the win.
Yeah, everyone brings that up, but is it further than the travel from Melbourne to Townsville?
Probably not. Maybe not Melbourne, but like most of the games are played in New South Wales when they come to Australia, and that's literally just.
Yeah, I guess.
So then we've got fantastic Broncos versus the Dragons. Can't wait for all my hope and excitement to be absolutely demolished by Reece Walsh, who's go out there and score 5 tries.
Yeah, Bronx.
Yeah, Bronx and Broncos. Well,
13 plus.
Here's a little stat for you. Ben Hunt's never lost to the Broncos.
Has he really?
Yep, and Suncorp's his spiritual home.
Well, you know what? I hope the Dragons win.
But then you've got Payne Haas against Blake Lowry and Francis Molo. So
and Patrick Carrigan against who?
Jack Bird.
Yeah.
Broncos, unfortunately, I think we get the win there. Sunday's games, absolutely diabolical game. Bulldogs versus Tigers. It's at Belmore, so I'm taking the doggies, but God, I don't want to watch this game.
I won't watch it. Let's just not talk about it next week. Yeah, I don't want to watch it. I've got better things to do with my time.
Literally, I can think of a lot of better things to do than watch the Bulldogs go against the Tigers. Yeah. Yuck.
I'd rather read a book. It's just
easy.
Not interested. Bulldogs win. Tigers suck. They're at Belmont. Bulldogs win, but who cares?
Yeah. Now Raiders versus Sharks. Hopefully Nico Hines is back this week for the Sharks. But Braden Trim's been playing some good footy, so they won't miss him too much. But if you go on there, this is in Canberra, so first game out at Canberra for them. So how do you see this one playing out?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to tip the Sharks, but I can see it going either way. Especially in Canberra, and especially if they don't have Nico Hines, as you said before, we made this before the team list come out. So hard to say. I think if Nico Hines plays, it's a definite win. If he doesn't play, I still think they get a slight edge over him and win.
You know what? Stuff it. I'll tip an upset. Up the milk.
Canberra.
Look, there's going to be some upset at some stage this week. Hopefully, it's the Dragons winning, but it won't be. So I'm going to take Canberra as my little cheeky upset. Sunday, 6 p.m. Just yuck time slot. So yeah, that will bring us to the end of another week of the Trademark Sports podcast. I'll keep you updated with my Ross medal standings over on Instagram. So make sure if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you made it this far, give us a 5-star rating, and make sure you download the episode. It really helps us out. And if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week.
See you guys.